Hey everybody, Sharon here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today back in Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, grabbing the fastest racer in the galaxy achievement. This is to place first in every single race during the story mode. Start up the game, make sure you have the game mode set to tournament. Once you start this up, you should get this little animation in the cantina, and eventually you are going to settle on the galaxy map once this droid makes his escape, and then we are free to start up the game. Now, to make this game and the achievements a lot easier, we are going to use the dev menu cheat codes in order to do this. So what you want to do is you want to first select a save slot. We're going to pick the first one and then just make sure you click on it. It should bring up the name entry screen. What you want to do is you want to make sure you hold left trigger the whole time, and then you want to make sure you input this cheat code using left bumper whenever you make an entry. You know you've done it right if the letters pop up in the bottom left corner of the screen. So the cheat code is going to be RRTANGENTABACUS and then end. So RR tangent abacus. Once you have that entered, you are also going to have to use left bumper to hit the end key. You should get an OK in the bottom left screen, indicating that you've entered in the cheat code correctly. What you want to do is you want to make sure you let go of left trigger, and then you are supposed to input a name like normal. So just use the A button to input this in, and you can put whatever you want. This is just going to be a dummy profile, which we're going to use every time we need to reactivate our cheat codes. So once you hit OK, you are going to get to the character select screen, and just make sure you hit the B button to back out, load up a different slot, so go down to slot number 2, and then what you want to do is you want to make sure you start this slot up like normal. Again, you can pick whatever you want for your name, just punch in whatever, and then make sure you start. Then you should start up a new game with all of the cheat codes enabled. So we are going to start off by picking our vehicle. We are going to start off with Anakin Skywalker, because of course he's the main character, and then we are going to get into our first race, which is going to be the Bunta training course on Tatooine. Every time you start up a race, make sure you have the bottom left race settings set to winner takes all. The reason for that is this will guarantee you the most amount of money, and we are going to need all of that money in order to work on all of the various upgrade achievements. Once you have that set, make sure you hit start race. You're going to start out with the opening cutscene of the race. You can skip that if you really want to. Then you're going to get the little transition, and then once you get behind the wheel, make sure you hit the start button. Then to enable the cheats, what you want to do is you want to do left, down, right, up, and that should bring up a fourth option, which is going to be game cheats. Make sure you select that, and then we are able to tweak the game. So what you want to do is you want to head into the debug level. You want to make sure you crank that up to 6. Make sure you turn invincibility on. You can also tweak the AI level if you really want to. It doesn't really matter since you have to do it every race anyways, and also we are going to have a little trick in order to avoid having to deal with actually racing the AI. Once you have the cheats enabled, make sure you start up the race. All you have to do is just let the pack get ahead of you. And once they are about that far ahead of you, just drive ahead past the start line and then just hit the Y button. That should warp you back. And then what you want to do is you want to re-drive across the start line, and that will actually count as you completing a lap. And then all you have to do is just make sure you do that for every single lap. Every race is going to consist of 3 laps, so all you have to do is just make sure you cross that start line a total of 3 times, and that will count as you completing the race. You should be awarded 3 achievements if you manage to come in first. The first one is for setting a new lap record. That's going to be for 20 gamer score. Every one of your laps should be maybe a few seconds tops. You should also get This is Pod Racing for 20 gamer score for finishing your first race. And since we cheesed the hell out of that first race, we should also get May the First Be With You, which is to complete a race in first place for another 20 gamer score. So you should get your leaderboard, and we should be on to our second race. So with this little trick in hand, we should be good for every single race of the game. The only 2 important things that you need to keep in mind is make sure every single race is set to winner takes all. And the other thing is you cannot do this for the very last race, or else you will miss the achievement because you can't use cheat codes for the last race and still get the achievement. Another thing you want to be very careful of is using that Y button warp. The reason for that is it not only warps you back, but it also warps the other racers back. So if you accidentally pull them behind the start line and they happen to cross it, they are actually going to count as being ahead of you. So just make sure, very, very importantly, that you let them get ahead of you once the race starts. You want to make sure you create that little distance, and you should be good for every race with that in mind. If you do mess up, just feel free to make sure you hit the restart and you can restart the race. Thanks to this little trick, we should be able to get through every single race of the game within a matter of seconds. And again, I remind you here, that you cannot use this trick for the last race. So make sure you do this with every single race except the last one. You want to make sure you leave that one alone because we are going to have to beat that one with cheat codes disabled. That being said, the use of the cheat codes is going to speed up our run through of the story mode quite significantly. It should take us about half an hour or so to get through the entirety of the story mode thanks to these cheat codes. So that's going to save us a bunch of time because normally it would take about 5 to 8 hours to complete the story. You should also get a slew of achievements along the way for unlocking certain story vehicles, and I'm going to point out which races will give you those, but you will have to complete every single race in order to get all of the achievements. So you should get an achievement for completing Amateur Race 2, as well as another one for completing Amateur Race 3. Fast forwarding a bit, the next one is going to be unlocked once you manage to win Amateur Race 6. Then, once we get to Amateur Race 7, it should be the last race of the circuit. So, once you manage to get first place in that, you should get the achievement for finishing up the Amateur Circuit. That one's going to be Start Your Engines. That's going to be for 20 gamer score. What's also going to happen as soon as you finish the Amateur Circuit is you are going to unlock the Invitational Circuit. This is going to be a circuit that is going to be composed of 4 races. Each of one is unlocked after you finish another circuit. So, the first one is going to be unlocked once you finish the Amateur Circuit. The second one is going to be unlocked once you finish the SemiPro Circuit, and then the third one is going to be unlocked once you finish the Galactic Circuit, and then completing all 3 of those unlocked races is going to unlock the fourth and final one. That fourth and final one is going to be the one race you do not want to use the cheat codes on in order to not mess yourself up from getting the last achievement. So make sure you keep that in mind. That's going to be the race that you leave blank. Back to the story, you should get an achievement for finishing up the very first Invitational Circuit race. That one's Welcome to the Dark Slide. That one's going to be for 20 gamer score. Now that that's out of the way, we are going to move on to the second circuit, which is going to be the Semi-Pro Circuit. So make sure you scroll up to that and then just start up the first race. We have another 7 races to knock out and another slew of achievements to unlock along the way. So, next achievement up is going to be unlocked after your first race in this circuit. This one's going to be Bullseye. It's for unlocking this vehicle. Race number 4 is going to get you another achievement called The Devlikk is in the Details. This one's going to be for 35 gamer score. Then we are going to have race number 7. This is going to be the last race of the circuit. So once we finish this one up, we should get the achievement for finishing up the circuit. This one's going to be Don't Get Cocky Kid, 20 gamer score for finishing the Semi-Pro Circuit. Then you should also be able to get into the second invitational race. Make sure you finish this one up. And this is also going to unlock you another achievement. This one is going to be Taking the High Road, 20 gamer score for this one. After that, we should be free to move on to the last circuit, which is going to be the Galactic Circuit. This is going to be another 7 races. Unfortunately, there are going to be no achievements until the last race, so just make sure you get through the first 6 races, then start up race number 7, and once you beat this, you should get a slew of achievements. First one up is going to be the racer that you unlock for finishing race number 7, which is going to be Sebulba. He's going to be a very important racer because he has a bunch of other achievements. So there it is. It's going to be by far the favorite today. That one's going to be for 35 gamer score. You should also unlock from Oovo 4 to Tatooine for a 35 gamer score. That's for finishing up the Galactic Circuit. As soon as you close the leaderboard, you should get the in-game credits. Unfortunately, you can't skip these, and you do have to watch them all the way through. And there is going to be quite a bit of credits, so just make sure you set the controller down and then walk away and then come back. Once you come back, you should be back at the main menu. Just make sure you enter tournament. As long as you didn't quit out of the game, your cheat codes should still be enabled. Make sure you pick the same save profile from earlier and make sure you stick with the same character. Once you get back here, it's time to head to the last race you can do with cheat codes, which is going to be Invitational Race 3. So again, just use the little cheat codes that we have been using and we should be able to knock this race out of the way. And this is going to be the point where we need to turn off our cheat codes, which is going to be us with just race 4 left. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you back out all the way to the main menu so you get your save in. Then what you want to do is you want to make sure you quit out of the game and then load back in. So just make sure you quit and then just restart the game. you should now be in a fresh game with the cheat codes now disabled. Make sure you go back to that same save, and it's time to make sure we get into our last race. Now, obviously, the last race is going to be quite difficult without cheat codes, especially if you're not so good at the game. So we are going to take this time and use all of that money we've been earning thanks to our cheat codes from earlier in order to upgrade our racer. So once on this menu, we are going to head over to buy Pit Droids, and we're going to buy 3 Pit Droids. They should cost $1,000 each. We should be flush with cash at this moment, so you should be able to more than afford it. Once you buy all 3 Pit Droids, you should be good for your achievement for buying a full set of Pit Droids called Serv-O-Droid Incorporated. That one's going to be for 35 gamer score. That's for having a full Pit Droid crew. Then we are going to go off to vehicle upgrades, and we're going to buy all of the stuff we are going to use to make our racer super fast. Starting off with the repulsor grip, we are going to swap this one out for the R600. This is going to be the best one. You should also get an achievement for buying your first upgrade once you buy this, and that one is going to be Mind Tricks Don't Work on Me, Only Money. That one's going to be for 20 gamer score. Then on to the rest of the upgrades. Moving down the list, we are going to have our fuel injector. Make sure you swap out the default one for this specific part, which is the Mag 6 ejector. So buy that. Then we are on to our air brake. Make sure we swap this one out for the Quadrajet air brake. Last part on the first column is going to be the power cell. Make sure you switch this one out for a Cluster 2 power plug. Then we're going to start at the top of the second column with our fork. We are going to swap this one out for the control stabilizer. Then we are going to go to our thrust coil underneath that, and then we are going to switch this one out for the Block 6 thrust coil. And finally, the last thing we need to swap out is going to be our radiator. We're going to switch this one out for a turbo coolant pump. That should be the last max upgrade, which should give us the achievement for fully maxing out our racer with You Came, You Look Around. This one is going to be for 70 gamer score. And now that we have our racer fully upgraded, it's time to take this into the last race. So just make sure you leave out the main menu, and then what you want to do is you want to make sure you go to Start Race. That should start up the race like normal, and then we should be good to get going. First off, you want to make sure cheat codes are still disabled, so just hit start and make sure the cheat menu isn't there. Once you are certain, it's time to actually try to win the race. Thanks to all those upgrades, you should be able to blow past the competition. It's not going to be a walk in the park. You do actually require some skill for this, so try your best to stay on the track, not drive off, and not let anyone pass you, but you should still be able to get first by a pretty substantial margin. Once you manage to win the race in first place, you should get the achievement for finishing the Invitational Circuit. That one's called Invitation Accepted for 70 gamer score. And then finally, the big one, fastest racer in the galaxy, 70 gamer score for finishing every single race in first place. That's going to be the bulk of story mode, and that's all there is to it.